Hey there, my friends. How's it going? You know, I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, and I have a few regrets, but I don't let it get to me. I don't look back in time and think, oh, I wish I would have done this or done that, because it really doesn't do us any good to grovel about the what-ifs and could-have-beens. But we do learn from our mistakes. Even over the past few years making YouTube videos, I can go back and have a perspective on what I was thinking at any one time and see how much I've grown in my own life. And not always for the better and not always for the worse. We are ever changing, constantly in flux, hopefully moving towards a better understanding of our world and ourselves, so we can ease the burden of being a human, at least in my eyes. And I've had a variety of different viewpoints on what life's about, or what God or existence might be beyond this realm, or whether there's hidden dimensions, or crystals and spirituality, and a variety of different interests that none which have suited me properly. But I always go with an open mind, and I'm always looking for not an answer to the big questions, but rather more pieces to the puzzle. Because in my eyes, all we're doing is putting little pieces together, and we might get a little edge or a border or a centerpiece, but we're talking about an endless jigsaw puzzle of life. And you have to resign yourself sort of to the fact that you don't know which choices are the right ones, and you don't know if you're, doing something in your best interest. Sometimes we make a bad choice that ends up biting us in the ass. And I've made my best effort in life to avoid making bad choices. I've always been very cautious not to do stupid things, but I've done my share of stupid things, especially when I was younger. And there are also the issues not of doing things that get you in trouble, but not doing things that get you in trouble. Because we know that the more we put off things we need to get done, such as me dealing with, my finances, or, taking care of some issues with the house falling apart, those kinds of things, it's easy to put them in the back of our minds, and then to later on, when we finally accomplish them, to go in retrospect say, damn, I wish I would have done that sooner. I would have felt a lot better about myself. But there's an interesting aspect of this that makes it really hard for me particularly to get things done, because my personality, and this is sort of what this video was originally going to be about, but I made one a while back which was about introverts and extroverts, and I wanted to go a little more into detail about, first off, I'm not big on personality types. The whole INFJ, four-letter code thing, a lot of people are really into that. It basically can describe certain personalities. I believe it's very useful for, you can categorize people as, and this, there's science to back it up, and the way that our neurochemistry works between, for example, introverts and extroverts. And I never really gave it much thought on those terms, but considered myself what the people might say as an extroverted person. I like to go to parties with my friends, I like to hang out, I like to go do things, but over the years I started looking back and saying, have I always really been an extrovert? And the truth is, I end up favoring very small groups of friends, and if I am at a party, I tend to end up hanging out with like one good friend or two good friends anyway. And generally I don't like big crowds, and I need time to recharge. I need my own space. And I've felt guilty. For the example, in the back of my garage there's a little office kind of built, and I turned it into my work office, for my herb business. But before that it was a grow room, and before that I used it for a variety of different things, arts, crafts, you name it, music room. And I've always felt somewhat guilty about having my own space. But that's one thing that I don't regret. It's one of the things that I've realized people who tend to be introverted need, is time to recharge in their own space where they feel safe. And not safe spaces, that's different. Safe from intrusion and interruption, safe to set the things up the way they wanted to set them up, And I have, sometimes when there's a lot of noise in the house, because I have kids, my oldest son's 23, but he plays guitar, and he's a great guitarist, but, you know, amps are loud. And my youngest and my middle-aged kid, are, you know, they're 6 and 9, and, you know, they're kids. So I tend to be a little bit withdrawn. So the way that I, you know, I'm trying to tie this in with, you know, the video title, however I name it, but it's about my introversion and how it really helped me understand myself better by realizing that there's other people like me, but also that there's a neurologic reason why. And this is because introverts, of course, the brain scans have revealed a lot about why we are the way we are, you know, over the past couple decades. And one of them showed that introverts process information differently than extroverts. Extroverts actually have a lower sensitivity, or I should say a higher sensitivity to dopamine, or rather they are more easily excited. And when they receive information, they process it quickly and respond quickly. Introverts tend to take longer to respond because that information which we take in, we need time to process it and then to be able to respond. And so it's a different interaction between different types of people. And this is because, and this is, I believe, a great trait that a lot of, you know, extroverts could do well to have, but it's not something you can just learn. It's the way our brains actually operate, and there's, you know, a difference in the way that the brains function in that way. And there are so many subtle differences between us as people, different types of behaviors, which are, you know, slightly different because of different brain, you know, shapes, sizes, connections, the way they interact. What they have neuroplasticity. Your brain will adapt in many ways to your whatever you're into. That's how we learn how to do amazing feats, you know. And so anyhow, my thought on it is that I'm not an introvert, so to speak, but rather an introverted, extrovert, whatever. I hate putting names on it, but I'm trying to get to the bottom, I guess, of the things that I've learned that have benefited me. And one of those is that it's okay to need your own time. It's okay to not want to answer your phone. I am a guy who loves to make videos. I love to talk on YouTube and sit here and talk to all of you making a video. But whenever somebody emails me, and I'll totally respond. I'm always talking to people through email too, or text with my friends. But the minute somebody calls me or asks me, hey, can I just talk to you for 1 minute on the phone, it'll help, you know, clear up some stuff, whatever it might be. Maybe it's for business. Even for my business, have to say, I just don't like being on the phone. I feel uncomfortable. And it's really weird to people because they think, here's this guy who's always making YouTube videos and talking. The thing is, I've learned is that I can do it on my own time, and I can respond in my own time, which is why I like text and I like the world of email. And while some people may say that the internet has made us more withdrawn from actual human contact, for a lot of us that's a benefit because we can be more productive that way. Trying to run a business and being a non-social person like I am, that, you know, I can use social media, but I'm not a big fanatic about, you know, talking to people about, especially small talk, business, anything like that. And one of the problems, I think, is that I have the tendency to jump right into deep subjects, but knowing people don't want to hear it or aren't interested in that, I tend to withdraw and resign myself to just holding whatever conversation comes up. So I've tried to mold myself to fit both characteristics, you know, outgoing and kind of reserved, and I think it's a good way to be, you know. I guess if I were going to leave with parting advice and a main point to this, it would be that it's okay if you need time to yourself. Don't feel selfish. Don't feel like people should tell you that, you know, you need to be more outgoing if you're not. There really are reasons why we have differences. And if you're a bubbly, outgoing person who needs that and craves that contact, I know plenty of people like that. I'm sure you all do too. That's great if that's what works for you. Just remember, everyone handles it differently and has their own comfort zone, comfort level. But being human is hard. We have a lot of different thoughts and emotions and regrets about our past. And so to kind of sum up what I was saying at the beginning, it's like the most important thing we can do is letting go of regrets and grievances against others. Regrets we can let go of once we've learned from the mistake. And grievances with others can be difficult. And someone asked me the other day, should we always forgive, or is there what's your rule to forgiveness? And I can't remember how it was phrased, but my thought on forgiveness is that everyone needs to be forgiven, however bad they have crossed you. I know that there are some extreme cases out there. I mean, I can't imagine if somebody abused my kids or whatnot, it would be really hard to forgive them. But what I've learned, and the people that have wronged me that I've forgiven, I've realized how important it is and how freeing it is for me as an individual. It doesn't take anything away from me. It shouldn't harm my pride to forgive someone. Because letting go of those grievances is crucial to our own growth. It's almost like a literal pain that we have within us when we hold those things in. And so letting go of the grievances and letting go of our regrets. Once we've learned from the mistake, say, okay, this is what I need to know from this. This is why it's nagging at me. One of the things that bothers us the most is when we don't interact with the people that we haven't talked to in a long time, say family or friends and whatnot, and we feel guilty about it, and so we end up regretting not spending more time. That's usually one of the biggest regrets we have, is not spending more time with family and friends and doing the things we love. So get out there and do them, and go love somebody. Find somebody to love, whoever it might be, a friend, a child, a parent, and as much as we, even as isolated and reserved as we might be, everybody needs a little love. So talk to y'all later.